Hey guys, welcome back to another Dragonheir Silent Gods video. Today I'm going to be showcasing another one of the teams I've used for the Resurgent Dragon, and that is a Fire and Poison team. So a lot of the heroes I've used in this team have been used elsewhere on my account throughout the season, whether that be in Vortex, in other dungeons, or some of them, they've been used everywhere. So obviously I don't expect everybody to have all of the heroes I'm using here, but they are kind of forming a core team that you can kind of work around and adjust to suit yourself, whether it's something you can replicate on your account or not. You will be able to use the ideas from this team to help form your own team. So I've obviously done this boss already, so before I jump into the run, I am going to show off the team here in Goblin just so I can access it. So if we have a look here, it's this team here. So as my tank, I've got my Furobath. So Furobath is here for his healing, so I've got him built in the Ancestral Protection set to help keep the rest of my team alive. He's got a good amount of defense, a nice amount of HP, and a decent amount of accuracy alongside the buffs you get in that fight to help and place his attack penalty on his ultimate skill. He's also obviously dealing healing and also cleansing on his passive skill. So he's just a great option. If you've got him, then you should be using him in this encounter. I've got him in a artifact that just helps to increase the healing as well, just to help keep my team alive. Next up, I've got Vikuk. So Vikuk is here to do some healing, but his main role is the cleanse. His ultimate skill is a dispels 2 debuffs, which deals with both the debuffs the boss places, the recharging speed penalty and the defense penalty too. So Vikuk goes just after the defense penalty is placed, cleanses both of those debuffs off every single rotation. He will also help with his battle skill doing attack penalty too. In terms of artifacts on him, I've got the Spiritual Incense Burner, and this is because the buffs on the boss obviously get removed from using ultimate energy manipulation. So every time he's using his ultimate skill and getting that 10% boost, he is removing a stack of buffs from the boss. But that is unfortunately a little bit wasted due to the fact of this rare here. So Fear is an incredible option for this team. So if you don't have a legendary like Felicity who boosts her ultimate energy every time she lands a critical hit, Fear is probably your next best option here. So her passive skill increases her ultimate energy by 5% every time there's a successful wild check by allies. So if you've got her in a team with other wild allies, all you need is 4 wild checks to pass throughout the entire 35-second rotation of the boss. So that is a no-brainer. It's going to happen without fail. So Fear is going to completely deal with the buffs on the boss every single rotation. Outside of that, I've just got her built in the 3 Years Emblem Hood set to increase the 3 Years Emblem set to increase the attack of my team. She's also built with enough accuracy to place the defense penalty from the Crown of the Unclean artifact. So she's there to obviously deal with the buffs and to support my other 2 damage dealers, which is Tolonan and Rash. So Tolonan is built in a Gambler set just to get the max HP damage on the boss. Obviously built with enough crit rate, a decent amount of crit damage, enough attack, a good amount of attack, and some defensive stats to keep him alive. The same goes for Rash, however he is built in the Executioner's set to make his ultimate hit harder. I do have other options. I've played with so many different things with Rash, but this is the set that I kind of lean back to and enjoy the most with him. So as for this team, if I jump to the run and I'll talk through the timings of the skills, I have played around with auto, but unfortunately the timings seem a little bit weird because of the boss taking that 5-second stun. It needs a little bit more effort on, a bit more time on my behalf. But I wanted to get these videos out for you guys as soon as possible to help you build your teams to deal with this boss. So as I say, if we obviously jump into the run, so I've got my damage dealers just running full auto. They can do what they want here. I'm not interested in that. They're dealing plenty of damage and they're targeting the right things. Obviously, I do need them to get wild checks as frequently as possible as well to help deal with the buffs. But the 2 that I'm controlling in this fight are Vikuk and Furobath. So as I mentioned at the start when I was talking about Vikuk, I have him going after the defense penalty is placed to cleanse that and the recharge speed penalty. So this will happen every single time, every single rotation. I'll have these debuffs cleansed, and we can just get back on with it. As for my Furobath, his ultimate skill I always save for the end of the fight, or the end of the rotation, so he can make sure that attack penalty is up before the boss does its ultimate skill. This just obviously makes sure that the damage I'm taking isn't too high, and my team can actually stay alive to deal the damage I need to. So I'll leave this run playing, we'll jump back in at the end and we'll talk about some of the other replacements you could use in this team if you don't have some of these heroes. And there you can see, as this run comes to the end, it did survive for the entire 8 minutes and deal around 50 million damage. This obviously helps you get towards that 140 million daily requirement, and obviously get you as high up in the damage leaderboards as you can to get the better rewards at the end of the boss. But this isn't the best team in the world. It does do a good amount of damage for my account and allows me to stay competitive within the top 100 or so of my server. In terms of replacements, obviously, in this team, there are a few people you could look to bring in. I did mention at the start, obviously, if you do have the legendary Felicity, then she instantly replaces your Thea. But obviously, Thea is a rare and accessible for everybody, but Felicity does do the exact same job, just better, and does significantly more damage while doing it as well, with her passive skill obviously dealing with all of the buffs. In terms of replacing Tonelman and Rash, you could use almost any wild hero for this. So Tonelman obviously does do a significant amount of single target damage, as does Rash, but you could also use a Flora, you could use Erich, the free legendary hero that everybody gets. You could use, I want to say the original name, but this hero's changed, so Refi. You could use Alfie, you could use so many different options to deal the damage in this team. It's not the most important thing. Obviously, your results will vary based on who you're using as your damage dealers. But just obviously keep that in mind when you're building your team. You don't necessarily have to have the exact same heroes that I've used in this. It is replicable by using other options. In terms of a tank, you could use Horus as your tank. The most important thing for your tank is literally just place that the attack penalty. If they can provide a little bit more support for your team at the same time, great. But if not, then it's not the end of the world. As well as that, obviously with Vikuk, you could bring in a more prominent healer. Use even Hexandra, for example, to help keep your team alive and actually tank the defense penalty debuffs. You will obviously not survive quite as long because the damage you're going to be taking is high, but as long as you've got a tank penalty or a cleanse, you will be able to survive a good amount of time. And the other option as well is to bring in somebody to counter the defense penalty, such as somebody who can bring a increase defense. So we got defense up from Isolde on her battle skill. This will help you to stay alive throughout that defense penalty on the ultimate skills. So there are different options you can use, but I did just want to show off the team I'm using to see if it can help some other people to build their teams. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.